Okay, so starting with SOHCAHTOA. So on your paper right here, we're going to do a setup for this problem. We're going to write SOHCAHTOA. And so anytime we're doing these problems, we'll write that on our paper so that way we have it as a reference. And that means sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. So first step, what we're going to do, just like yesterday, is make an arc at a designated angle. But now, sometimes we know what that angle is. So you just make an arc at whatever angle is labeled. Then the next step is to label the sides that you have, and only the two sides. So notice how there's only two sides with a value. So this here is the hypotenuse, and this is the adjacent side. And so we only label the sides that are labeled with a value, whether it be x or a number. Then we have to decide whether we're using sine, cosine, or tangent based on what they gave us. So they gave us a and h. So that means we're going to use cosine because we need a and h for cosine. So we set it up like this. Cosine of 65 equals a over h, so x over 8. And so that's how you set it up. So we're going to practice the setup on this page and then build from there. So for this one right here, and again, you want to have SOHCAHTOA like within your visual range so you can easily just reference it as needed. So here for this first one, we make an arc at whatever angle they labeled, either with an x or degrees. And then from there, we label the sides they gave us. So from this angle, we have opposite and we have the hypotenuse. Next step is to decide whether we're going to use sine, cosine, or tangent. So they gave us O and H, and the one with O and H is sine. So we do sine of 61 equals opposite over hypotenuse, so 24 over x, like that. And then we repeat that process. So for the next one, make an arc at the angle they labeled and label the sides they gave you. So they gave us the hypotenuse and the adjacent side. And so then we decide whether we need sine, cosine, or tangent. So we have a and h, so now we're going to use cosine, which needs a and h. So cosine of 27 degrees equals x over 19. Okay, and repeat that process with the next one. Make an arc at whatever angle they have labeled, and then label your sides. So from this arc, we have the opposite side and the adjacent. So we have O and A, so that means we should use tangent. So tan of 52 equals opposite over adjacent, so x over 13. And that's how you set them up. So we're going to flip to the next page and just continue practicing this and build a little bit at a time. Okay, so we're going to start here. And again, write SOHCAHTOA so that way you have it as a reference. And so we're going to continue just setting it up to start just practicing that skill. So first step is to make an arc at the labeled angle, designated angle. Then you label the sides that you have. So from this angle, I have opposite and hypotenuse. So based on that, with opposite and hypotenuse, I need to use sine because that needs opposite and hypotenuse. So I write down sine of 59 equals opposite over hypotenuse, d over 37. And leave yourself some room to solve because we're going to solve it here in a few minutes. but we're just going to practice the setup for right this second. Okay, and then for this one, draw an arc at that angle, and then label your sides. We have hypotenuse and adjacent. So that is, we're going to need cosine. So we need cosine of 70 is adjacent over hypotenuse, so V over 63. Okay, number 3, make an arc. Label your sides. We have opposite and adjacent. So that would be tan. So tan of 49. Opposite over adjacent would be S over 42. Then for this one, same process, make an arc at that angle, hypotenuse and adjacent. A and H means we're going to use cosine. Cosine of 75 is 18 over A. So far, so good. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to build in like how do you solve this. So here we want to find D, which is the length of this side. And so to solve this, we need to get D by itself on one side of the equation. So to get D by itself, we're going to multiply both sides by 37, and that will get rid of that denominator. So multiply this by 37 and this by 37. The 37s cancel here, and we get 37 sine 59 equals D. Okay, then from here, for the calculator, we'll do the parentheses first. So just like we did in the bell work, we're going to do just 59 sine. So in the calculator, 59 sine to get a decimal. And then we multiply by this 37 times 37 is 31.72. So D equals 31.72. So that would be the length of this side. And of course, make sure it's logical. The hypotenuse is 37, so it makes sense that this would be like a little less than that. Okay, now we repeat the process with the next two. So we're trying to get V by itself. So we multiply this by 63 and multiply this side by 63. 63's cancel here, and we have 63 cosine of 70 equals V. In the calculator, 70 cosine times 63 is 21.55. So V equals 21.55. And of course, make sure it's logical. Hypotenuse is 63. This looks a lot shorter, so it makes sense that that's 21. Okay. Next problem, same process. Get S by itself by multiplying both sides by 42. Get 42 tan of 49 equals S. 49 tan times 42 is 48.32. Okay, then number 4 is a little bit different because it has a variable as a denominator here. So it just takes one more step to set it up. So the first step, Colton, please don't talk. Multiply both sides by a. A cosine of 75 equals 18. We're still working on getting a by itself, so we have to divide both sides by cosine of 75. And a equals 18 over cosine of 75. And then to plug this in a calculator, we can do it all in one sweep. We just have to do 18 divided by 75 cosine, and then hit equal one more time, and it'll give you the final answer. So I did 18 divided by 75 cosine, and then hit equal, and it gives me the whole thing. So 69.55. So A equals 69.55. Okay, that was the hardest part. There's a couple other things we're going to go over, but that was like the hard part. Okay, so the next part said it's a little bit easier. For these problems, what we're going to do is instead of solving for a side length, we're going to solve for an angle. So we're going to solve for angle Z here. So like make an arc on angle Z. Also, we're not going to do this bottom part just to save time. So make an arc on Z, and what we're going to do is we're going to solve for the angle. Now, in order to solve for the angle, we have to use the inverse. Notice this little -1, that stands for the inverse. And so moving back down here, we're going to practice using the inverse on the calculator. So on these buttons, you can look behind sine and you see sine to the -1, cosine to the -1, tangent to the -1. In order to use that button, we have to hit second and then sine, and that's how we're going to get the inverse. So here, it wants us to practice that. It says sine of b equals 3/5. So we're going to do 3/5 and then second sine, and it will give you the answer. So I put in 3/5 and then second sine. 3/5 second sine. And it comes out to 36.89. So what I did was or you could do 3 divided by 5, that would work too. And then I hit second sine. And that's how I got that. Yes. You took the 6 out? Oh, I don't know why I wrote 9. Sorry. Good catch. I'm sorry. Girl's not perfect. Okay. I don't know why I put 9. Next. Cosine right here. So we're going to use second cosine now to get the inverse. So you put in 12 divided by 25, and then second cosine, 61.31. And then tangent, same thing, so type in the decimal here. And then second tangent, 55.999. And then here, again, second sine, so we type in the decimal 0.9563. Second sine, 72.999. And so this would all be like degree measures of angles. Okay, so now we're going to use this in the problems. So moving over here. First things first, we need to set it up. And again, we need SOHCAHTOA. So write it down so that way you can reference it as you do the problem. And this is our designated angle. So we have opposite and hypotenuse. So that means we're going to use sine of z equals opposite over hypotenuse, 5/9. And then in the calculator, do 5 divided by 9 or 5/9. 5 divided by 9, second sine. And I get 33.75. Z degrees equals 33.75. So in the calculator, I did 5 divided by 9, then I hit second, and then sine. Okay, the next one, we have our designated angle, we have hypotenuse and adjacent. A and H, that means we're going to use cosine. So cosine of z degrees equals adjacent over hypotenuse, 10/14. Somebody yesterday asked if you always need to simplify. Well, in this case, no, because the calculator is going to do the work for you. So you can just do 10 divided by 14, second cosine, and you will get your answer. So again, 10 divided by 14, and then second cosine, 44.42. So z degrees equals 44.42. And last but not least, opposite and adjacent. Tan of z degrees is 5/12. So we can do 5/12 second tangent. 5/12 second tangent. 22.62. Okay, and that is all. So you have the rest of class to get the homework done on Schoology. So you have homework 9-3 on Schoology. It's just 5 questions. And then work on your ALEKS assignments for this week. And let me know as you have questions. Take your time with this. I know it's kind of tough at first, but just be patient with yourself. Yeah. Sorry.